Thank you for meeting us, Mr. Webb. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well.
Nice. Some people that have visited your museum in the past say that visit Savannah would probably be coming to you, seeing your little military museum, see what you got.
Well, I've been open for 10 years. I usually get around 12,000 people a year.
Do you have any, what's like the most asked about attraction there at your place?
Well, I would say there's 70% of the items are named to people, but I would say I get a lot of comments on my Russian plane, my MiG-21 cockpit, because you don't expect to come in a small museum and see a Russian MiG-21. I've had that for 30 years.
It's a lot.
Ask him how he got it.
How'd you
How hard
get
that
it?
is to get sneak past your wife?
Yeah. So how did you come about getting that MiG?
Well, that's a story in its own. I mean, I had a printing company. I did business with a guy in town who was a CIA operative. And after the fall of the Soviet Union, he goes to East Berlin and brokers a deal with his Stasi friends and brings 26 of these MiGs back, along with piles of other stuff. Over 8 years, I finally got one when he owed me some money, and he paid me in a trade. And we'll show you the picture of the MiG. But I would say that's pretty asked about, and because most people just don't have a MiG in their garage, like I do.
So how did the museum come about?
Well, I'm not from Savannah, but I've been here 40-something years, and they've never had a military artifact museum, which is really strange. So I'd been collecting military stuff since I was a 10 years old kid living in Europe. My mother was English, and she lived in London during the war. So when we were all growing up, my brothers and sisters, she had no problem talking about being bombed by the Germans for 5 years. So I just got interested in artifacts as a young kid, and just collected my whole life. I don't play golf. I don't have a boat. And 10 years ago, after my three children all grew up and moved on, I had a friend of mine who owned this building, and it was a horse barn. So he gave me great rent, but I had to gut it and build it out. But it gave me a place that I could put the museum or put my artifacts to create the museum. Now, if you go online, we're highly rated on TripAdvisor, on Yelp, Google. We have great reviews, 5-star, because the museum really talks about people.
Can you give us a tour of the museum, please, sir?
Pardon me?
Can you show us like the most attractive thing you have there?
Yeah, let's go through the museum. I'm going to turn this my phone around, so if I start to get off, but let me just preface it by, I would say this is. I'm going to show you a picture of my mother's gas mask. Okay, now look. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's a picture of my mother holding her gas mask in front of her house with a fair-haired Uncle Fred, and I know that's for the bombing because there's still glass in the windows. So that's how my mother grew up. I also have my granddad's fire brigade helmets, and my mother had German relatives to include Uncle Rudolph up there. Can you see Uncle Rudolph
Yeah.
in the picture?
Yep.
Yeah, well, Rudolph was sent to Russia, captured by the Russians, and spent 9 years in the gulags. Now, I lived in 15 cities, 4 countries, 9 states before I was 22 years old. I spent 10 years in Europe growing up. I went to high school in Germany, lived in Norway, France, and I also went to college in Munich. So I knew all my relatives. So I got really personal with them. So I'm going to start walking through the museum. Again, I wish I could flip my phone to see if I'm... But my museum starts with the Civil War. And this is the first case, the Civil War case. You guys see that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, and some of the interesting artifacts. Has anyone ever been to Gettysburg?
Nope.
No.
If you go to Gettysburg, in the Gettysburg Museum, there's a narrative on a man named Joel Taylor, a Georgia Confederate whose Bible saved his life when it struck it. And there's a narrative on Joe Taylor, but I actually own Joe Taylor's Bible with a bullet in it. See that?
Yes, sir. We see it.
There it is. So I also have a nice Carta de Vista signed by Robert E. Lee. That was, if you notice, he's in civilian clothes. You never see an autograph in civilian clothes. But this Carta de Vista, Lee gave to his girlfriend in Savannah. So if you want to have one autograph, you might as well have the one he gives to his ex-girlfriend. So as we go through, and you can stop me anytime. Again, this is the Civil War case. And can you see the plane?
Yes, sir.
There's the MiG.
Wow.
Now, that's the nose cone. And there's what the MiG would look like. I have from here onward. All right?
Mhm.
And that's the That's an original second national flag. Everybody thinks that's the Confederate flag. That's for communication and identification. That is the national flag there, equated to the Stars and Stripes.
How long
All right,
have
we're
you
going to
had all
go.
this stuff? Sorry to interrupt, but how long have you
Nope.
had all this?
Oh, I mean, it's a work in progress. I mean, I've been buying it since I was 10 years old. I bought a lot of it in my 20s and 30s. I'm not, like I said, I'm not from Savannah, but I started a business when I was 23 and built it up. So I had the funds to buy the stuff. The difference with this stuff is if you want it, you better buy it. If it's rare, you better buy it. The common stuff can always skip. All right, we're going to go to the next case, was the Indian War case. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yes, sir, we can.
Righty. And of course, the Indian War was a period between the end of the Civil War to the Spanish-American War when everybody went west to fulfill the manifest destiny. The only problem is 3 million Indians in the way. Now, these are real artifacts off the Battle of Custer's Last Stand, the Battle of the Bighorn. And this is a saddle taken out of the battlefield. And there's still marked 7C Cavalry. And that's the museum tag from 1930. That came off the battlefield. The uniforms over here are Savannah related. They're militia uniforms for the Chatham Artillery and the Savannah Volunteer Guards. And if you ever come to Savannah, there's a lot of history here. But you can see a lot of interesting things here. Now I'm going to go to the Spanish-American War, which is over here. And of course, the Spanish-American War started when the USS Maine exploded in Havana Harbor. It was probably a boiler, but we took the opportunity to take Cuba. And since Spain owned Cuba, they also owned the Philippines, Wake Island, Guam, Jamaica. We took all that too. But that would come back to bite us Pearl Harbor Day. But this is a bowl hammered out of the USS Maine and dedicated to someone. And this naval flat hat has USS Maine on it. That belonged to George Miller. He was killed in the blast, and he's featured in that book. But you notice beautiful uniforms. And obviously the Marine Corps uniforms don't change much at all.
Indeed, they
The
don't.
ribbons indicated this man participated in the Yangtze, Dominican Republic, Haiti, and World War I. All those banana wars. So it's kind of cool, huh? Now my
It is.
museum has big display cases, but I also have stuff all upside down here. See that?
We do.
Yes. All right. We'll move to the World War One. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Uh, Great nurse's uniform. She's Canadian. I've got her photo album, her diaries, just a spectacular piece. A name to this lady here. Again, a lot of things in my museum are named to people. I have a great photo of Marines storming a bunker. And since you're Marines, I got all the Marine Corps helmets and the Marine Corps uniform there. And remember, you can't have enough trench line knives. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, we'll move over here. If you're familiar with Eddie Rickenbacker, Eddie Rickenbacker was the top American ace, the highest decorated soldier in World War I, the Audie Murphy of World War I. This is one of his uniforms. I have a couple autographs too. Plus, I have the rare first experimental helmet the Americans made. They only made 4,000 of them. Ford Motor Company made them, sent them to France. No one liked them, so they destroyed them all. Very rare to ever see one, much less own one. And plus, the white helmets when we sent American troops to Siberia to help the White Russians. A couple more interesting stories. Again, you really have to come to the museum to get all the interesting stories. But that's all World War One. This is Imperial German. I like the Imperial stuff. Spiked helmets, spikes for infantry, balls for artillery, mortar boards for heavy cavalry. But the elite would be the Death Head Regiment, light cavalry. Also, if you're familiar with the Medal of the Blue Max, only 81 aviators received it. I do have the grouping that belonged to Franz Walt. He was the only German aviator to receive it in Palestine. And if that helmet I showed you, the American helmet, was the rarest American, that's the rarest German. They only made 4,000 for their allies, the Ottomans. The Ottomans are Muslim Turks, so they pray 5 times a day. So the brim is removed so they don't have to take their helmet off when they pray 5 times a day.
What's it like
Everything okay
being
over
in
there?
4? Yes, sir.
All righty. We're going to go to the rise of the Nazis a bit. Early German uniforms, SA uniforms, Allgemeine SS, political, and the white hat, very rare. That belonged to Arthur Seyss-Inquart. Seyss-Inquart was the 9th man executed at the Nuremberg trials for his crimes against the Dutch people. I can tell you right now, you never see anything from the Nuremberg trials. The hat is featured in that book, by the way.
Do you have the SS Stahlhelm?
Yes, I have several of those. We'll get to that when we get to the World
Alright.
War I section. All right, let's go move to my favorite case, the Battle of Britain ones. Can you see that okay?
Yes, sir, we
Because
can.
this is the one with my granddad's fire brigade helmets and uniform are. HR meant heavy rescue. My mother's cousin, who was in the RAF, was killed during the war. My mother's gas mask, and a picture of my mother carrying her gas mask. And I like the baby gas mask. Isn't it cool?
It is.
Those are for infants. Let me see if I can find a quick picture so we can kind of get in perspective what it looks like. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
There you go. You pump them right in when you're born.
It's crazy.
And we get back to, okay, you see the bombed out building?
Yes, sir.
All right, my mother's house is 4 doors to the right. So you can obviously see why I could never have a teenage problem. And that's the first month of the heavy bombing. Okay, we're going to move along out of Battle of Britain into the Pacific. I got great Pearl Harbor stuff. Got great hats. I got a truck off the Oklahoma, a truck off the Downs. I have an Arizona hat and a piece of the Arizona. Now I got more Pearl Harbor stuff, I think, than Pearl Harbor. Isn't that cool?
It
Plus,
is.
I got a great menu here. Christmas dinner, 1941, and the sailor wrote the dinner we didn't get thanks to the Japs. So I guess they didn't get Christmas dinner. But if you ever go to Pearl Harbor, very humbling. Couple more interesting things. I'm just going to show you some photos of the museum so you can kind of grasp all the information we have in here. Too much to talk about. Uh, got some great Japanese flags. If you're familiar with the American Flying Tigers, they were mercenaries that went over before World War II started for us and flew the Chinese. There was only 99 of them. I do have John Farrell's Bloodshed, number 16. Remember, there's only 99 of those. All right, we'll move along a little bit further. Great women's stuff here. If you're familiar with the women's air service pilots, those were women who ferried planes around in the United States. This is named Ethel Meyer. Very rare you ever see anything from the loss. It's just extremely rare to get. And these are also female uniforms, wax and whatnot, and nice couple of nice other American uniforms. I do have a lot of signatures from the Enola Gay, Tibbetts, Thompson, Dutch Van Kurt, Nelson. Don't have them all, but have quite a few. And in my museum, we do have a selfie booth where people can come in here and put on hats and take photos and stand next to the Vietnam era soldier there. Isn't that cool?
Are those like actual hats or replica?
No, these are all actual real hats. In fact, that's my dad's. My dad's hat when he was a major. It looks like it needs some repair. But yeah, I let people just put the hats on, you know. I mean, people have been doing it in my house for 40 years. Why stop, you know?
Can people like
Drives
come in there?
drives museum curators crazy because most museums you can't take pictures, you can't put on stuff or test stuff, but I don't mind doing it. All right, we're going to move around here to the World War II German section, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see some sniper hits there. But this is my German section. See that okay?
The SS uniform.
You asked about an SS helmet. There's one there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one there with the smock. And this is, am I doing okay there?
Yes, sir.
This is Karl Marie Demmelhuber's SS general's uniform.
The-
Complete Panzer uniform marked Adolf Hitler. That's a general, but that's a jurist, a judge. I wonder how many of those are. And of course, you got the Hitler Youth, and you got the female one there.
Is
And these are
there?
artifacts taken out of Hitler's house. His napkins.
Mm-hmm.
Those were taken out of the house to Berghoff. They came off a table with only 8 chairs, so I don't know how many napkins there were, but I don't think there was many. And if you're familiar with a man named Otto Skorzeny, Skorzeny was the Scarface commando that rescued Mussolini. And a lot of books on Skorzeny, but he's this big thug right there next to Hitler. In 1943, he rescued Mussolini, but in 1944, he overthrew the Hungarian government. And for that operation, Hitler personally awarded Skorzeny the German Cross in gold, which I own. This is the cross that Hitler gave Skorzeny for overthrowing Hungary. It is photographed in his last biography, by the way. Isn't that cool?
It is, sir.
And again, I got more stuff up there. Again, if my phone, I don't see what I'm photographing, so if it looks a little off, say, hey, recenter it. I won't be offended. That's up there, if you can see the band, that's the cot that belonged to Curtis LeMay. LeMay killed more people in World War II by bombing them He developed Strategic Air Command, and that's the bed he had here in Savannah when he was stationed at Hunter Army Airfield. He gave it to his sergeant, who gave it to his son, who was a friend of mine. He gave it to me. He said, "Don't ever paint it," because LeMay's nickname was the Big Cigar, and he used to smoke cigars and sit in that bed. And when he put them out, in the wooden part, and so there's all cigar burns all over it. All right, we'll get back to the 8th Air Force originated in Savannah, Georgia. There's a great series called Masters of the Air. It's worth seeing. But these are all my 8th Air Force uniforms here. The groupings, 900 dog tags. All these belong to 8th Air Force people. If you're familiar with the actor Jimmy Stewart, he was in the 445th Bomb Group, and this guy was too. So when I got his uniform grouping, I got his yearbook, and Stewart signs it. I have like 6 unpublished photos of Jimmy Stewart. He's famous for that movie, It's a Wonderful Life. All right, we'll move along a little bit, and holler if you want to see something, if you see something in case you want to get closer to. It's airborne stuff. Again, a lot of stuff is named. This is a named item. This is named to a local Savannah who was killed. I also have 2 letters his mother wrote, but they were returned saying, "Killed in action, return to sender." And my concentration camp items are original. They're from Buchenwald Concentration Camp in Weimar, and that's a dress. You never see a dress. The diamond just indicates, or the triangle just indicates that he's a communist. If he's Jewish and a communist, you get 2 triangles to form the Star of David, like that. 6 million non-Jews perished in the camps. My mother's uncle was sent to Dachau, and his number was 93012. All right, we'll move along a little bit. This case is just 3 veterans. This is a local guy. These are 2 local guys. He was on the Iwo Jima. He took a camera. I've never seen a photograph of Iwo Jima. Full of flamethrower victims, too. This guy, he was in the Londonderry Division. You notice the pants with the shamrock. Only 900 Marines went to Europe. Millions went to the Pacific, but only 900. And if you ever go to Charleston and you go to the Patriot Point with the Yorktown, the last commander was James Killer Kane. This is Killer Kane. There's a good picture of Killer Kane. But I do have a lot of his uniform groupings and his 9 kills out of his gun camera, and also 3 diaries that he recorded his days on. 3-war vet, movie star, good looks. All right, I'm going to pan up a little bit so you can see some of the other things up here, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if those lights are in the way. I got a lot of leather jackets and things like that.
Looks good.
Pardon me?
It looks good.
Cool. Okay, let's move around to the Korean War. Nothing much changes as far as uniforms, but a couple nice things in here is the Marine Corps uniform, a Medal of Honor winner. This gentleman over here is also a Medal of Honor. I do have 3 reproduction Medal of Honors and quite a few Purple Hearts. I like that Marine Corps uniform because that guy's a corporal with 4 years in, and look at how many medals he has. The reason for that is he joins the Army Airborne, parachutes into France, is captured by the Germans. He's released, he joins the Marines, goes to Korea, is captured by the North Koreans, and eventually released. I've never seen a POW medal with a star. That's the one next to the Purple Heart. Either he's the luckiest guy or the most unluckiest. Again, more jackets, more information here. And I'm going to turn around and we'll go to the Vietnam section. That's right here. Can you see that okay?
Yes, sir.
I got great Vietnam stuff. That's General Westmoreland's uniform, the MACV commander in Vietnam. There's a picture of him wearing it. Donald Davis is part of the Sante raid, the raid to free American POWs. He's featured in the book The Raid. Rick Swaffer's a tunnel rat. He's featured in the book The Tunnels of Cu Chi. Of course, the Bob Hope. Bob Hope was an entertainer. These are his jackets, and there's photos of him wearing it. Get some more great Vietnam stuff here. Various Green Beret uniforms, snipers, advisors. My friend Dale Hardy, he's one of my poker buddies. That's his naval drooping. And again, more stuff up there. Kind of cool. And you see, this building was a horse barn. So I rented it. It was a barn. So I gutted it, built it out, and designed it. So it's perfect for, and of course, there's a better shot of the plane, perhaps. See that all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. After Vietnam, I can't keep up with all the wars and battles. So my last case is just a Cold War case, and I throw anything after Vietnam. This is one of Saddam Hussein's uniforms taken out of his Baghdad palace, along with the painting. Apparently, he liked his Greek genre scenes. I do have some other personal items featuring his cane. My brother was in the first Gulf War. That's his uniform. Uh, he was an advisor to the Saudis, so his name's in Arabic and English, and he wears the rank of Major, the crown, so his counterparts can recognize him. And this is a friend of mine. He was the first killed in action in Panama, and that's the picture I painted to honor James Markwell. A month after his death, George Bush Sr. would read his death letter before Congress at the State of the Union. My painting still hangs in the headquarters, and if you get Markwell's room, that hangs above his bed. So I was real honored that it happened, or that's still there. All right, that's pretty much the end of my museum. And of course, we have a gift shop here for selling all the good stuff. So, Brian, well, that's Ben, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, that pretty well sums it up. Is there any questions or anything else you'd like
Yes,
to
sir. I have a few questions. What's your biggest exhibit that people come to
Biggest
see?
exhibit is World War II. There's 5 cases. There's 8 American conflicts, but World War II has 5 cases, so that's the largest.
What would be your favorite? Another question. What's your favorite exhibit?
I like, in the World War II section, I like Scorzani's Gold Cross because I have offers up to $75,000 on that, so that's a real rare piece. Now, you take out the personal stuff, my mother's gas mask, my grandfather's fire brigade helmets, and all the other stuff. Yeah, Scorzani's German Cross in gold is pretty good.
So when people come into the museum, do you usually give them tours?
Only if they request it, and I do that usually after hours or before hours. I've tied in with a cruise ship that they come in town 2 or 3 or 4 times a week, and when they do, they send people over, anywhere from 5 to 20 people, and we do the tour before I open. It's much easier for me to do that before I'm not in. But generally, people walk in, I give my spiel, and they go through the museum and come out. Now I'm here if they have questions. The museum's 3,000 square feet, and you can't get lost, obviously.
Can you show us the big coat for all the people that have watched
The
this?
big coat, I'm afraid, is, I know what you're talking about. The big coat, I had to have one of my employees take it home and start stitching it up, only because it got a little rusty. I mean, it was getting a little torn and stuff like that. I might have a photo of it, though.
All right.
Let me just see if I do. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. Ben, can you see the big coat?
Where's it at?
It's the photos right there. Can you see?
I can see it.
I don't think we can see it.
It's too dark?
No, I think if you move, is it the big picture? Is that what you're trying to show us, or?
Yeah, I'm just showing you a 4x6 photo.
Oh, okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah. Oh, I see it now. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There's a girl putting the coat on and wearing it.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
Great.
it's got 300 rabbits in, and people put it in, their arms go through the stitching. So I have finally decided to take it and get somebody to stitch it up for me. But I'm glad JD remembered the big coat.
I remember the coat and the hat.
Yes. Yes, I forgot the hat. You probably came, 6, 7 years ago. There's so much more stuff in this museum and everything.
Oh, it's a beautiful museum, and it was a lot of fun when we came in. And whenever we come to Savannah, we make sure we hit that museum every time.
Well, come see it. Like I said, we've been here 10 years, so we've weathered everything.
Yeah, you've had a few things.
Yeah.
Thank you so
All right,
much,
great, Ben.
Mr. Webb, for the tour, sharing your love with military history and everything. This has been Outside the Den with Ben Cadle. Thank you, sir, for meeting with us today.
No, thank you, Ben, for interviewing me and enjoying the museum. And anybody from your school, if comes to Savannah, definitely look us up. We'd love to have you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir, very much for your time.
Appreciate you. Okay, over and out. Thanks,
Thank
JD.
you. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.